Hey everyone, welcome to Humanity Chats. It's Thursday, 7 p.m. And so here we are. We do Humanity Chats on Thursdays. We just get together and talk about issues that affect humans. Today, we're going to celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month. And so we have three amazing ladies who are going to tell us about the Hispanic culture. But before we get started, I just wanted to go over a few things. I hope you have had a good week despite the rains, the fire, and we're still dealing with COVID-19 and the protests. I just pray that people will stay safe and that things will get better. About my week did not start off so great. I lost my uncle on Monday, and he was going to turn 79 on Tuesday. And it was a sad beginning to the week. And so I hope that his soul is resting in heaven. And to the extended family out there, just know that I'm thinking of you. And although we're not able to be together physically, I'm praying for you and I'm holding you in my heart. Another thing that I wanted to talk about today was domestic violence. This past week, the Ghanaian community, I'm pretty sure you saw the videos out there about this pastor who killed his wife in Florida. Domestic violence is a real situation, guys. If you know of anybody suffering, please do not hesitate to reach out. And if you are in a situation, please get out, please get help. This should not have happened. It's a very sad situation. And we pray for the soul of Barbara. I see that Brandy is there and she's saying, hey, beautiful. Hey, Brandy, thank you for joining us. Tell your friends that we're here. Share this with your network, guys. Share this with your network. It's so good that you get to join us on Thursdays. We want to make sure that we're telling our friends about the Hispanic culture, celebrating Hispanic Americans, their achievements, learning about the history. So please share this page, get your friends on board. Thank you so much for joining us. Before we get to the main talk, I just wanted to say a few things. I've talked about domestic violence, and now I just want to remind you guys about the importance of the census. Last week, we talked about how important it is to make sure that you get registered. You just go online and do it. Or, better still, you can pick up the phone, go to marjymarch.com. All that information is there. Or you can go to census.gov and find that information. Make sure you're calling your friends and your family members. Tell another person to call another. And let's all get counted. It is very important because it's when we get counted that we have access to the resources out there. And now, to my friends and family in the immigrant community, you don't get penalized to be counted. So please let your network know, even if you have a problem with your paperwork or your immigration status, this doesn't go to ICE or just get counted. And so remember to participate in the census. And whilst you're at it, remember to register to vote. We have a very important election coming up. And so we want to make sure that our voices are heard. Thank you. I see you, Kola, that you've also signed on. I really appreciate you all. This is a labor of love. So let's get folks here. Share this with your network. I'm so glad that you're here. We're going to have our little intro for Humanity Chats, and then we'll bring our guests up. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Marjy March. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Hola.
Hola. Yes. I should be saying hola. Yes, yes, yes.
Hola.
Well, welcome to Humanity Chats, ladies. Hello, audience, viewers. This is Marjy March. I am the author of The Shimmigrant and Same Elephants, both amazing books out there. If you haven't read them, grab a copy. You know, I have to just say that. Today we have Dr. Araceli Hernandez Laroche. We have Dr. Begonia Cavallaro Garcia, and we have Gia Quinones. Did I get it right? Yes, with us. And you know, between these three ladies, we actually have representation from Spain, Dr. Begonia. We have representation from Mexico, Dr. Araceli, and we have Gia from Peru. So it should tell you that when we talk about the Hispanic culture, when we talk about Hispanic Americans, we're talking about a diverse group of people. And today we're here to learn more about the culture. Thank you so much for joining us. Tell your friends, share this with your network. You know, drop your comments and your questions in the chat box because these ladies will be available to answer your questions. And so I guess we're gonna get started with introductions, right? Gia, do you wanna tell us a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Marjy, for inviting me to be part of this conversation. So I'm Gia Quinones. I am originally from Peru. I'm a mental health counselor for Spartanburg Area Mental Health Center. Actually, this October marks 20 years since I arrived in the United States from Peru. So it's kind of surreal that it's been that long. My parents wanted a better future and opportunities in education for my brother and I. So they decided to immigrate to the United States in pursuit of a better future. And that's I think that's a desire that so many people have when arriving in this country. So I'm excited for this chat. I'm looking forward to sharing our stories and learning from Begonia, Araceli, and yourself.
Wow, Gia, thank you for that introduction. 20 years, it just flew by, didn't it? You know, I'm an immigrant myself, and I don't know when I came from Ghana, but it's been over 20 years. I'm like, yeah, I feel so American, yet I feel Ghanaian. You know, sometimes you're like, okay, yes, yes, yes. So, guys, yeah, we're so happy to have everybody here. We're gonna hear from Dr. Araceli.
Yes, well, first of all, thank you, Marjy, for having us here. It's pretty impressive to think that you were born in Ghana, Begonia was born in Spain, Gia, you were born in Peru, and I was born in Guadalajara, Jalisco, Mexico. It's the second largest city in Mexico, and I think it's very amazing. It has more than 1.4 million people. My father snuck out of California to go and celebrate my abuelita, my grandmother. You're going to hear a lot of Spanish and Spanglish in this conversation, and I'm still trying to forgive my father for sneaking out during a pandemic. But I'm very happy to join you here. My father is also from Jalisco, from a little pueblito right next to Guadalajara. And my late mother, was also from a little town outside of this big city. And I grew up in Southern California, in Riverside, California. There's a big university, the University of California, Riverside. And I would go and study there as a middle school student, as a high school student, hoping to one day go to the university myself. But I didn't want to go there because I wanted to be free and live far away from my family, not because I didn't like them, but it's because I knew that they wouldn't let me stay out too late. And I wanted to really open my wings and travel and explore other cultures. And ever since I was in high school, I always had friends from all over Latin America, all over the world, from Vietnam especially. So I always cherish having these types of conversations with people from very many different places of the earth, but at the same time, we're very similar, and we all, have big dreams and big hopes. So thank you, Marjy, and I want to congratulate you for the Augusta Literary Festival. I don't know if you want to tell us what that was about. I know you're doing the interviewing.
Well, thank you, Araceli. Like you, having friends all over. I also came from Ghana, and I have friends all over. But thanks for mentioning the Augusta Literary Welcome America Festival. Welcome America is actually all across the United States, and it's welcoming immigrants, refugees, and citizens of America who also want to welcome people into this country. And it's welcoming week all across America. So it's being celebrated with events. And I was so honored that they chose my book, The Shimmigrant, to be for the book talk. I'm like, my little book? I mean, and I feel so honored. I'm like, I am the ultimate shimmigrant for my book to be chosen during Immigration Week by Welcome USA, Welcome Augusta. It's amazing. I am so grateful. I am grateful to my network, you, Araceli included, for always pushing my name out there for me to be considered. Thank you. We are one family. We are one race. And, Begonia, you want to tell us a little bit about yourself too?
Yes, hello. And I'm also really happy to be here with three phenomenal, amazing women. And so thank you so much, Marj, for this invitation. My name is Begoña Cavallaro Garcia, and I'm originally from Spain. I have been in the US for many years now. I think it's 22, so a long time. And currently I am associate professor in Spanish studies at Wofford College and dean of diversity and inclusion. And that, as Araceli, also I have always loved traveling, getting to know other cultures. So I study in Great Britain and then Kalamazoo College. Then my PhD is from UNC Chapel Hill, and then here I am. I'm very happy to be here, and I'm also an anti-poverty advocate. I have been doing that for more than 9 years, and it's something. Social justice is one of my passions.
Well, I think all of us on this forum are for social justice and anti-poverty. Thank you, Begonia. And, being the Dean for Diversity and Inclusion at Wofford College, this is just the perfect platform for you to spread your message. I am so grateful for all of you, and I am just thrilled that we're getting people from, although when people talk about the Hispanic culture or they talk about being a Latino, sometimes people just tend to think that maybe the person is just from Mexico. But here we are with a diverse group of women, and you have all been in this country for ages. You have been educated here, and you still reach out to your community. I mean, this month being Hispanic Heritage Month, it is such an honor to have you. And I guess I will start with Gia to tell us what Hispanic Heritage Month is.
Yes, so Hispanic Heritage Month was something that I did not know about until I moved to the US. So it's not something that was celebrated in Peru. And, I learned it at school, actually. I went to school in Mississippi. So it was hard at first to understand what was being celebrated because my English, I didn't speak English. And I was placed in my school's ESL program. That's what it was called back then, English as a second language. Now it's like the ESOL program, English for Speakers of Other Languages. And that's where, like mid-September, they said, we're going to have a party. And I was like, oh, what are we celebrating? They say, like, well, bring a dish from your country. And I was like, okay, I'll tell my mom. And I still didn't know why we were bringing dishes from our countries. And then when we got together, I just thought we were just having like a potluck. And they said, well, we're celebrating our heritage and our countries and our food and our music. And that's kind of how I started, like, oh, well, I want to know more about this. So kind of like what you mentioned, there's, according to the Census Bureau, there's 60.6 million Hispanics, Latinx living in the U.S. And a lot of times we are often viewed as a homogeneous culture, even though we represent so many countries. Our culture is so diverse. Latin America consists of over 20 countries and 14 dependent territories that cover areas from like Mexico all the way to Tierra del Fuego, and it includes much of the Caribbean. A lot of times when they would ask me, where are you from? I would say, oh, I'm from Peru. Like, where in Mexico is that? I'm like, oh, well, it's not really in Mexico. And, I had to explain, like, well, you go down south, past Mexico, all the way down to South America, and it's next to Brazil. And they, my peers in Mississippi were still like, oh, well, okay, still Mexican, right? And I'm like, no, I'm Peruvian. So, that shows that how diverse our culture is, so many countries, so many different traditions. And it's celebrated nationwide, through festivals and art shows and conferences and community gatherings. And for me, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month allows our country to show its recognition and support for the work that Latinos, Hispanics, Latinx are doing in helping this country grow. There's so many frontline workers who are Hispanic, Latinx, farmers who are still working right now under conditions in California and Oregon and Washington with the wildfires, and they're still providing for us, for our tables. So it's a way to honor their hard work, honor our culture, honor what we bring to this country. So that's why it's important to celebrate it for me.
Wow, that's amazing. Yes, it is important to celebrate it. And, I can empathize when you say that you tell people you're from Peru and they still think you're from Mexico. I'm from Ghana, and people say, oh, she's from Africa. And I'm like, Africa is a whole continent. There's so many countries in Africa. I am from Ghana. And it's like, oh, that's Marjy. She's from Africa. And so I can empathize. And I'm so glad that you're showing us the differentiation and the beautiful culture. And, I can see all these immigrants that are out there on the front lines, working so hard, putting food on the table. And one thing that I've come to realize is how hard COVID-19 has hit the Hispanic community because of the communal living. Your community loves on each other and has extended family that they're probably taking care of. And so when something like that spreads, it spreads far and wide. And with that, Araceli, can you tell us a little bit more about the Spanish culture?
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to mention, too, that when I was a little girl, a long, long time ago, in Southern California, I remember that during National Hispanic Heritage Month, we would have to wear these skirts. They were faldas folclóricas from Mexico, and they were pink and blue and yellow, and you always wanted to get to the box where all those folclórico skirts were before, so you could choose your color and your size. And I just remember growing up in Southern California, and my teachers, they were a little stern, but a good number of them were Mexican American. And now I I appreciate as an adult all of the Mexican American traditions, or that they try to share with children. So I just remember, really having a very vibrant celebration in California. So I think it's very important in the United States, all over, in small towns where we don't usually think that there are a lot of Latinos there. There probably are. We are the largest minority in the United States. We are about 18% of the population. And in California, we're the biggest population. We outnumber the white community, the African American community, etc. So I think that's important. And I was telling, all of you are my friends. Begoña, I was telling Begoña, who's a Spanish professor. I'm a French professor. I'm a modern languages professor, and I'm fascinated with language and culture. And I'm reading a book that I'm going to show you. It's An American Language, The History of Spanish in the United States. And I have a big, big wish, and that wish is that in all schools, especially here in South Carolina, I wish we had more history classes about the relationship between the United States and its neighbors, Canada and Mexico. And really, Hispanic Heritage Month is really American Heritage Month, because Spanish in the Southwest has had a much longer presence than English. So one way to answer the question about Latinos in the United States, it's really to go through the lens of language. Because once we do that, we realize that Spanish was a language of governance. If you wanted to be a community leader, you spoke Spanish and not English or other languages. Of course, Native communities, indigenous communities. One day I remember seeing a map of California. And it's amazing, all of the Native American languages that are present in every single, corner of the United States. And I think that if we started to appreciate language and dialects, I think we would uncover a lot of the richness of the United States. And I think we would be able to understand each other better, because for the Latino culture, it's very diverse. At the same time, I think that there is sometimes a stereotype of us that we are so attached to our language. And actually, it's true. Language is very, very important to us. Language is a vulnerability. Language is power. And within the same family, I'm the first generation immigrant from Mexico, but my younger siblings, I have 5 siblings, depending on where you are in the family, and if you took more Spanish classes in high school, you may feel more or less confident in Spanish, and that can also be a sense of feeling excluded within the family. And also our family members who have tried so hard to learn English, but who just cannot learn it because of so many other barriers, they also feel excluded. So many times, being in the United States, the same level of language fluency in Spanish or in English, that can be a little bit of a border that sometimes separates us or hurts us a little bit, but at the same time brings us together. So I really want us to think about the history of Spanish, its presence. California, Texas, Colorado, many states that have these Spanish names. A lot of the coolest cities like Los Angeles, San Francisco, right, come from that colonial tradition. So I don't know if I've answered your question or if I separated a little bit, but I do want to mention one thing. There was an article that came out maybe a month ago I think it was posted in the Huffington Post, and it was about how the Southeast botched its COVID-19 response with the Latinx community. And why? Because of language. Not enough interpreters, not enough translated materials were available, not enough information was made in Spanish. So, we can say, oh, everyone needs to learn English. Well, that's not going to be the reality. And also, we don't have an official language in the United States. We have many languages. And now, after Mexico, the United States is the second largest Spanish-speaking country in the world. And it is expected that in 20, 30 years, it's going to become the number one, the largest, the biggest Spanish-speaking country in the world. So let's learn Spanish. It has Arabic or Nahua or whatever other indigenous language that has been in contact with that main one.
Looks like it's become a little bit choppy. I'm sorry, Araceli. But yes, you did answer the question. Thank you for shedding a light onto the culture and the traditions. And I feel you. Sometimes when English is not your first language and you can't speak your mother language that well, you feel like, okay, so where do I really belong? And when you speak your mother language, you have an accent. And when you speak English, you have an accent too. I mean, when I'm in America, everybody knows that I have an accent and they know that I'm from somewhere. But then when I go to Ghana, I don't sound as Ghanaian as I used to. And so it's like, oh, she's American. And I'm thinking, no, I have an accent. But, so I can understand, I can see it. I am so happy that we're able to do this. Audience, it is so important for us to learn about other cultures. And I think that when we do that, we realize that we are more the same than we are different. Isn't it amazing that I come from a different culture, but I can still see similarities within your culture? I think that's really great. And that reminds me of an important question. I see that a lot of Spanish countries celebrate independence around this time. And so maybe Begonia, you could tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, and I agree with everything that Araceli and Gia said, and how they have framed this conversation. So the way that here the Hispanic Heritage Month, as Gia mentioned before, food is very important. So everything related around food, festivals, arts, exhibitions, conferences, plays, music, dancing is something that people celebrate with, through movement, through dancing, and community meetings. And the idea, I think, for all this is to fight the stereotypes. And, Araceli was talking about that. And there is a TED Talk that I don't know if you have seen. It's called The Danger of a Single Story by Mamanda Adichie. And, in that TED Talk, she says the stereotypes is not the problem that they are false, but they are incomplete. We're seeing people through the lens of just one thing. And because, the US is very powerful, there is a lot of in the media ways of everybody to see different aspects. But the problem is when we have politicians and we have people that just see, our culture like in a negative way, like with the Latinos or Latinx don't speak the language, or that they take advantage of welfare. Or so what is that we need to do is combat those stereotypes. And how do you do it? With informing, educating people about what it is actually, and the diversity of Latinx. And there are many things that people don't know, and we want to make sure that We celebrate women like Justice Sonia Sotomayor. People don't know, yes, people don't know that the person who actually has the patent for the gel for your hands, for sanitizer, is actually Lupe Hernandez, who had it in 1966. And, so why don't we know about those things? Why don't we know that the first woman who went to the space is called Ellen Ochoa? Why don't we know that Eva Longoria is not just an actress, but she's actually an advocate, and she has a master's in Chicano studies, So this is what I think is important, and to bring, education, and to just everybody can see a different picture. Like, people don't know that women, Latina women, are very good entrepreneurs, and they owe 25% of Latinx business, no? So, and how powerful is the buying power of Latinx, that is millions and millions of dollars. So what else is that people don't know about the Latinx people that we need to make sure that people know? And this type of, in the independence, when they do it, the festivals and celebrations, that is what I think is important for us to show people, so they can change and they can see, and not see just one side of the story, but have a more complex view of what the Latinx represents.
Whew, that was powerful. Now, you mentioned so many of my favorite people when you were speaking. Chimamanda, she is the real deal. Viewers, Chimamanda is an author. She's from Nigeria, but when she's in the United States, she lives in Maryland. She has all these TED Talks out there. She has books out there, very respectable. And Justice Sotomayor, amazing woman on the Supreme Court. That woman, she is a diabetic, yet she has excelled. She's done so much, and she is a role model for all girls, not just Latinx girls, but all girls to look up to. I mean, you talk about Ochoa, you talk about Lupe. Look, it's not just about the Latinx community. It's about everybody looking up to these people. And I am so glad that we're talking about this, because sometimes we get stuck with the stereotypes, and there are all these great people out there that we have to celebrate. And it's not just people in the past, because, when Begonia was talking, she mentioned people that are part of history, and she also mentioned people that are currently doing great things, like Justice Sotomayor. And so this is I'm loving this conversation. And so I'm taking it back to you, Gia. With what Begonia said, how do you think Hispanic Heritage Month is being celebrated in schools, and what is your advice for schools out there?
Well, everything that Begonia and Araceli said just had me like, it was pumping me. I was like, yeah. Well, celebrating Hispanic Heritage Month in schools, it brings people together, from all backgrounds, to celebrate and honor our heritage, through history, through food, art, and music. It helps build stronger relationships between the schools and the communities they serve. And that often leads to more family engagement and students' academic growth, and the families feeling welcome and part of the school. A lot of times, because of that language barrier, because of different barriers, parents, families may feel like they don't have a voice in their children's education. So celebrating makes them, feel welcome into, like, oh, this is my culture. I can talk about this. I know the music. I know the food. Schools being open to host events that celebrate people and cultures, it's great, not just for the schools, but for the students, the families, the community as a whole. Events, activities that celebrate different cultures also give children an opportunity to honor their heritage, to share their culture with their peers and their teachers, and really be proud of their roots. I know that as an immigrant children, I came to the U.S. when I was 11, and you're trying to, in a way, I was trying to fit in a school that was very small, in a very small town in Mississippi, that I was probably one of, man, 4 or 5 Hispanic Latinx students. And you're trying to immerse in that culture of like, okay, I need to learn English. I need to act the way they're acting. I need to, okay, they're saying this word, so I need to learn how to say those words, and they're playing this way. But I didn't want, I hold my culture, my Peruvian culture, so close to me and so dear to me. I didn't want to lose that. And I came to a realization of like, no, I don't have to change my ways or the way I was raised to fit in, like I am who I am, and maybe they need to learn who I am so that they can, learn about me and what's important to me and what makes me. Sharing your culture is a way of expressing what makes you, and it creates awareness of how diverse our culture is, our Latinx culture, and it's what makes, you're sharing what makes each nation unique. I'm from Peru, and I have some of my peers who are from Mexico, and I had peers in that specific school from Argentina. So we all spoke Spanish, but we had different traditions that we share with our school and with our teachers. There's at times there's lots of stereotypes that some people may think that Latinx students come from a specific country, or that they may not be familiar with Latin America and the countries in Latin America. So by schools celebrating world cultures, Hispanic Heritage Month, they're providing education about how diverse our world is, and the importance of knowing world cultures and world geography. At times, well, for my schools that I went to as a child, there wasn't such an emphasis of learning about world geography and world cultures. Schools serve diverse populations, and by better understanding the communities they serve, the schools can begin to be more culturally sensitive. It creates a welcoming atmosphere for all families. Schools can also ensure that they have communication that is bilingual, providing interpreters at all meetings, campus events. It can make a huge difference for so many families, for so many students. Investing in staff professional development, focus on cultural sensitivity and how to better serve the Latinx families. If you have a large percentage of Latinx students and families, get to know them, get to know their needs. Are they monolingual families? Then how do you serve them? Because they're part of your school district. You can't just serve a specific population and forget about the ones that may not speak the language that you offer classes in. They're also important. They also want to know about their children's education. So how do you welcome them? How do you make them feel that they matter, that their child is important, that their opinion is important, and that they deserve, a good education. So, for me, celebrating cultures in the school system is the best way to teach our children, all children, that there are different cultures in our world and that they are all important, and that it makes us grow as humans.
Wow, that was good. Making us grow as humans. That's very important. Gia, your answer took me back to my book, The Shimmigrant. The protagonist in that book was 13 years old when she moved to America. And, with her experience in the school system in New York, her accent and people not being nice to her, and, sometimes being on the school bus and feeling different. It is very real, and we have to teach our kids to be accepting and to be global citizens. When they are introduced to other cultures, they tend to appreciate the people from that culture a little bit more. And I don't even think that you need to have a good number of Hispanic or Latinx students in your school to teach their culture or to celebrate Hispanic heritage. you can just incorporate it into your curriculum as diversity and inclusion, and just teach those kids about these role models that have contributed to society. I don't know how many kids know about Justice Sotomayor, or how many people know what Lupe did. Everybody's using hand sanitizers now. So it is important. I remember that my son won an award last year, and he got to meet Viola Davis, who is an icon in the African American community. I mean, he was like, he could not believe that he had met Viola Davis. But then he went back to his circle, and some of the people had no idea who Viola Davis was. And he was shocked, because that was somebody that everybody in our immediate circle knew and admired. So I'm not saying that everybody has to know Viola, but it's when you teach the kids and expand their horizon, they tend to be more accepting, and I think that would do well for a better America. So thank you for that. And that actually leads into the next question for Araceli. Can you tell us about some Latinx icons that we need to know about, whether living or dead, or can you share some of the achievements with us?
Yes, well, I went very local. I was looking up folks from Guadalajara, where I'm from, but who we know. Like, I'm sure you've all danced to Carlos Santana, right? Oye, ¿cómo va, right? So Carlos Santana is not exactly from Guadalajara. I'm claiming him, but he's from a little town in Jalisco, the state where I'm from. Also, do you like to watch films in Hollywood? We have Gael Garcia Bernal. He's very handsome. He's a very handsome actor. I'm going to make this a little interactive. Gia, Begoña, Marjy, have you watched a film with him in it? Yes, you love him. Yes.
Motorcycle Diaries is a film that I recommend to everybody.
Yes, the Motorcycle Diaries. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous film about youth, about dreams, about having an idea to unify Latin America. Absolutely, it's very poetic. The images. Yes, there's so many famous people, but also other film directors. I would also encourage all of us to ask our local bookstores, our local libraries, our teachers, our children's teachers, to also incorporate more writers from Canada and from Mexico, right? From neighboring countries, as well as from around the world. One author that I'd like to recommend to people who have never read a novella or a novel by a Mexican author. The book is called Batallas en el Desierto, Battles in the Desert, and it's about Mexico City. It's about characters and their relationship a little bit to the United States, many times from the Mexican perspective. Our relationship to the northern neighbor looms large in the imagination, and also our relationship to La Madre Patria, to Spain, to that colonial history, and also to even France, right? We all, are hanging out at restaurants for Cinco de Mayo, and a lot of people think that is Mexican Independence Day, and actually it's when this ragtag, not even army, defeated the French for the Batalla de Puebla. France tried to colonize Mexico a couple of times, but they didn't succeed. And my husband is French, so he doesn't like that holiday. I really rub it in. So, who do we know? I remember that I'm not going to name this actress, a non-Latina actress. She was asked on the street, name three Latina, Latinx actors and actresses, and she couldn't name one. So that's not good. We do have a problem of representation in Hollywood. So I do want to give a shout out to my youngest sister, who's who's an actress in Hollywood. She's done a few films, Beatriz Hernandez, and we need more representation. Julian Castro just said in an op-ed, Hollywood, you need to. You need to wake up. You're in Los Angeles. Most of the population is Latino, yet we're not in films. And I also want to mention that it's my brother's birthday, so I want to say happy birthday to Sal Hernandez, and yesterday was my sister's birthday, Claudia Hernandez. So they're famous, thanks to Marjy. But yes, let's think about painters, Frida Kahlo. A lot of us have heard of Frida Kahlo. A lot of us in the last 2-3 years, we've been watching the film Coco, right? On Dia de los Muertos. And I think that for this year, Dia de los Muertos is going to have an even bigger impact on all of us, not just people in Mexico or Latinx folks, but also in the United States, due to this pandemic and to many of our loved ones that we've lost. I would like to mention that all communities have been impacted by COVID, but 1 in 3 people sick with COVID is Latino in the United States. And we are essential workers. I'm part of that 16% who gets to work from home. So I'm one of those who have that luxury. I don't know if I answered your question or if I digressed, Marjy.
Yes, you did, and you gave us additional information. And it's very important for us to recognize that there are several frontline workers who are Latina, and we have to tip our hats off to the people on the front lines, wherever they're from, because in New York, they were doing the analysis and realized that a lot of frontline workers are immigrants. And so that's a lot of work that is being done out there. When you talked about the novella, it just reminded me about this show that I was watching that was into telenovelas. And it was Jane the Virgin. Oh my God. I binged watch it. And I was so mad anytime that somebody came into Jane's life and it was not Raphael. Oh my God. That could be a whole humanity chat and more. I was very hooked and I was getting upset. And yes. And, so thank you, Araceli, for sharing those wise words. But that brings me to Begonia. What do you think is the state of Latinx America right now? And what are the steps what steps are you recommending? I think you have to.
I apologize. Yeah, I was muted. As Gia was saying before, we have 60.6 millions of Latinx people in the US. Out of those, 80% are actually US citizens, and only 10% are undocumented. So, and the state, well, as everybody knows here, we have DACA. We have 600,000 people with the DACA status right now that are in danger of if the president decided to remove DACA, he has been trying. These are people who give millions of dollars to the U.S. in the economy. There are people who are working, people, students, and it's just not good for the economy, and it's not good because, as everybody know, they came when they were children and they feel they are Americans. So, and apart from that, now with the coronavirus, everything, all these inequities are much bigger. If we talk about poverty, we know that there are right now as of late August, there are 22 million adults in households that lack sufficient food, and the ones who are suffering the most, with a 21%, 21.5 are Black women, and 21.1 are Latinas. So these are, so we are facing, a lot of issues that because of the coronavirus, everything is worse. If we talk about children, Latinx in the US, they are 1 out of 4, I believe, in the public schools. Now, however, many people don't have the computers. So, we are having these problems now with more inequities that are happening because of all that. So we need to do something about it. Everybody has the power to change, and everybody has to do something. So what do? Well, first you advocate for Medicaid, Medicaid for everybody. So because there are 18.5 Latinx who do not have any type of health insurance. So, you expand the Medicaid, you cover the underinsured and the ones who are non-insured, and no matter about the immigration status. That is something that could be done. Then SNAP, the food stamps, that has to be extended by 15% at least, so more people can access. And now with this, in the White House, they are making more difficult for people in mixed status families to get this type of help. So that has to change too. The EITC have lifted 8 million people, 9 million people out of poverty. They have lifted people out of poverty. We know that this program works. We need to expand the EITC. So there are things that can be done. You can call your congressman. You can, make sure that you write op-eds in the newspaper. Make sure, as you were saying before, Marjorie, the census, so important. If people don't count, it could be up to $18,000 lost, a year. For just one person. I mean, so we don't realize how important it is, those dollars who will come to our economy. So there are all those things that need to be done. Of course, the H 3404, the bill that protects DACA here in the South Carolina, need to pass. Unfortunately, that didn't happen last year, and I know that there are plans on, trying again. So the situation is not good, as we know, and we all need to do something about it.
Wow, powerful words with a lot of statistics. Viewers, we have people on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook watching us. Share this information with your network, and if they can't watch everything, it's okay. If there's a message that really got to you and you know that it was at the 40th minute, you could just tell that person to go to the 40th minute. Because I know this is a long chat, but there's a lot of vital information in here. We have the panel, we have received such positive comments. Michelle Stone says it's a great panel to usher in for Hispanic Heritage Month. Victor Doris said, nice work, ladies. Carla Kujiku is saying fantastic conversation. And Dela is saying great discussion. Tashma is giving you blue hearts. People are listening and they are loving it. And it's a diverse group here. We have Latinx, we have Caucasians, we have African Americans, we have people with African origin. This is what we want. And I can tell some of the viewers are from outside of the United States. That's what we want to hear. Ladies, you have done a fabulous job of telling us about your culture and your heritage. I wish we had planned this better and we had some music and we could have danced and, showed people some of our moves, but so soon our time is almost coming to an end. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give each of you a minute to give us a call for action. But what I'm going to do is I will remove us from the screen so that it's one person at a time. That way it will be impactful. And we're going to start with Gia. Hold on, let me. We're going to start with Gia. So please bear with me.
Thank you, Marjy. There's so many things that I would want to say, a call for action. Please register to vote. Every vote counts. Your vote matters. Read up on political issues, both local and national, and figure out where you stand. Stand up for social justice, for immigrant justice, for human rights. Human rights and immigrant rights are increasingly under attack. It is more important now than ever before to be educated on this topic and to use your voice to support civil liberties, raise awareness and promote advocacy for immigration and refugee policy reform. I strongly, strongly believe in the power of advocacy. Through the use of advocacy and public outreach, we can protect the rights and liberties of immigrants in the U.S. Your voice matters. Call your representatives and senators to let them know you oppose the treatment of individuals seeking asylum and people who are detained in immigration detention centers. Families belong together. Let's use our voice to demand our government to stop incarcerating children, to not separate families, and to provide a trusted path to citizenship for immigrant dreamers. This is our time to fight for dignity and justice for all families, for all humans. So that is my call to action. And I hope that you guys have a good evening. And thank you for joining this Humanity Chat.
Well, that was powerful. At this time, I'm going to bring Araceli into the room. Yes, Araceli, if you could give us your call to action.
Bueno, buenas noches. Good evening, bonsoir. My big call to action is to get involved, get connected, join groups in your town that are interested in voter registration, that are interested in human rights, immigrant rights, who are interested in combating anti-negritud, are interested in combating racism. And I think also Gia mentioned that for us, it really hurts us to see the condition that children find themselves at the border. No child should be in a cage. No child should be traumatized. And that really weighs on us, on our hearts. But I also want us to think about local children. Words have a huge impact on them. And sometimes the national discourse or local discourse or rhetoric is not very positive and is quite dehumanizing. So it's up to us adults to step it up, to speak up, and to pay attention to our children. They are the future. As an educator, this is something that I worry about. Our children need powerful mentors, and they need mentors that look like them, but they also need mentors from other cultures. Please stay connected, broaden your network, and that's how we make our communities more equitable. Gracias.
Oh, wow. Thank you, Araceli. Folks, you heard her. Mentoring is important. Having your voice heard is important. You can go back, you can rewind. This video is going to be on YouTube. You can go back and listen to the calls to action Thank you so much, Araceli, for being a powerful voice out there. And at this time, I am going to bring Begonia in here so that she can talk to us.
Thank you, Marjy, and thank you everybody who's listening for being here with us. I mean, my colleagues already said everything that that I would say. The thing is that you all need to realize that you do have the power, and something that you want to do is go to the root of the problems. I mean, of course, it's wonderful to also solve problems, with people needs, but we need to change policy. That is so important, and that is why you want to call your congressman, why you want to call your senators, try to talk to their aides, and doing the op-eds, because only by changing policies, because when you change policies, millions of people can get to lifted out of poverty. It's like the story of the river, when you have these babies in the river that you're trying to save, but then one of the two people trying to do that go all the way up to the hill and see what's going on and how can that stop that. So that's what I mean when I say, going to the policies, and of course being a mentor, if you can do that for everybody, and everything that you all say, I couldn't agree more. We need to mobilize. This is a time not to be silenced. It's not a time not to, it's the time to act, do something about it, and you can do things. So please do everything you can to change, because we don't need to go back to the normal. The normal was full of inequities. We need a new normal. That's where we want to go, that is more equitable for all.
I didn't realize my mic was muted. I'm sorry, viewers. Equity, that's in the conversation. Viewers, you heard Dr. Araceli Laroche, Dr. Araceli Hernandez Laroche, Giacchinones, Dr. Begonia Cavallaro Garcia. Thank you so much for your impactful words and for giving us a window into your culture. We don't get to do this often. Now, viewers, tell your friends to learn about other cultures. It is so important because we are one race, and that's the human race. Humanity Chats talks about everyday issues that impact humans. And so we invite you to join us on Thursday evenings. You can always learn more by visiting marjymarch.com. You can read up the blog and find out what's going on. You can also subscribe to Marjy TV on YouTube for more content, or follow Marjy TV on social media. We're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. We will keep you updated. We talk about a variety of issues. Next week on Humanity Chats, we're going to have Tasper Ajekum out of the DMV area. He was in the hospital for several weeks. He was for COVID-19. He was in the ICU. Tasper is going to share his story with us. Tune in for this emotional episode. I can't wait to learn more about what Tasper is going to tell us. And just this Saturday, we have another program coming up, which is a book chat with Rosie, 5 p.m. Eastern. Rosemont Sapon Owens, she is out of Minnesota. And on September 15th, she came out with a book, Apples in a Seed. She has 9 heroes that she talks about in the book, including Kwame Nkrumah, who was the first president of Ghana, Mother Teresa. She talks about Nelson Mandela. So tune in on Saturday at 5 p.m. if you don't have anything going on to listen to Rosie. And we have an inspirational show every other Sunday. And this Sunday, it's coming back on at 3 p.m. Kids Changing the World. The guest this time is from Ghana, West Africa, from a town called Takoradi. His name is Obed Dazi, and he is the founder of Voices on the Mount. Kids Changing the World is hosted by Adoma Pia, a 16-year-old author. And the show is also run digitally by Koshi Labisiao. And so Koshi is a freshman in high school, and she's doing all this. Sometimes she shares her work with me. I just go over it. I don't even have to correct her. I don't have to help her. She has everything set up. For Sunday already. And so it's amazing that these kids have taken that initiative and that they're doing this. And so once again, thank you for watching Humanity Chats. For additional programs, subscribe to Marjy TV on YouTube. We are so glad that you joined us. And all the guests that had comments, we are grateful. Share this with your friends. Let them know. We want to learn more about the Hispanic culture, and happy Hispanic Heritage Month to everybody. Thank you so much for joining us.